got about 15 minutes left of a program time, and you're just in time for a man that is known not only across South Africa but around the world. Barry Hilton, still evolving after 30 years in the entertainment industry. 3 decades on, and Barry continues to entertain the crowd with his humour and charm, which is always lighthearted, honest and funny. From May until July, he will be taking his new show Evolver to theatres in South Africa and abroad. He shares more with us this morning. A very good morning and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much. It's very cool. I'm actually glad I got here in the Joburg traffic. It's ridiculous.
It's good to have you here because, I mean, you've been travelling all over the place, from
Absolutely.
a Carnival City, a show of over 4,200 people, the most crowd that we've ever seen here in South Africa, to Sydney Opera House. I mean, it's quite an honour to have you here, you know.
Well, it's quite an honour to be here. I just like working, 30 years I've been in the business and I still wake up every morning and basically pinch myself and think, wow, I'm still here. Well, this is a great job. What a lucky time.
How have you managed to stay relevant and to stay in the entertainment industry for so long?
I've had kids. I've got kids across all generations. So basically, because I still like playing with Lego. But I just listen to what kids say and do things and what happens. A youngster came to me the other day. I've always been good at maths and my brain works all the time. And this youngster actually said to me, Uncle Paz, can you help me? I've got a question about mathematics. Can you explain algebra? And I looked at this guy, I said, algebra is quite simple, bro. It's like getting a divorce. No, but it's true. You look at your ex and you think, why? So you just carry on like that. That's how I write new stuff every day. So.
You have, over the years, I mean, you mentioned pinching yourself and not believing that you're still here.
Yeah.
Was this where you hoped you'd be?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to be an artist ever since I can remember, but I was brought up in a box by my dad, who has lived in a box, and that was the thing, I had to be a tradesman. He forced me to be a tradesman, but I didn't want to be a tradesman. I wanted to be an artist always, since I was 8 years old. So eventually, when I was 26, I broke out of these chains and I got on stage, and I had to pretend I was from overseas to get a job, because there was a show here called Biltong on Potchroast. It was all these great South African comedians and British comedians. And I couldn't get a job as a South African comedian because nobody knew me. It was the catch-22. So I went into this agent's office in South Africa, in Cape Town, and I spoke like that. I said, look, I've just got off the plane from Liverpool, and I've heard that you're doing great shows here, and I want to do some work. And this guy said to me, where are you from? I said, I'm from Liverpool. So he said, well, tell me a joke. I said, bloke goes into an optician. Optician said, you need glasses. He said, how do you know? He said, I could tell when you walk through the window. So he said to me, that's funny. Can you do this? I could do it all the time. So I pretended to be this guy. But the funny part about it was, I was there for 2 months doing this gig, and he came to me and he said, we want to sign you up. And I said, oh, brilliant, we'll do it. He said, but I need to clarify something. And I thought, whoops, I've been bust. So actually funny, he said to me, I've heard that you can do a really, really good South African accent. Funny you should say that, bro. So you got to improvise all the time,
What a story. And speaking about international imposers and also travelling internationally, I mentioned the Sydney Opera House. Tell us about going to actually play to an overseas audience.
It was great. I mean, we advertised the Sydney Opera House. Obviously, there was a few South Africans there, but I would say at least 40% of the crowd were Australians and whatever. It was really great. I mean, it's the biggest venue in the world for me. I've worked the Royal Albert Hall. I've really did well there, but for me, the Sydney Opera House is just something else, and all people from all cultures, because people go to Sydney. Also, wherever I go in the world, there's people from every culture you can think of. When I work in Hong Kong, there's all different people. I work on American cruise liners. It's Americans, so it's humour is a great leveler, I believe, because funny is funny.
Do you then adapt your show to what you would show a South African audience when you're abroad?
Yeah, if I'm doing like a South African, I worked at a club in Durbanville for the last 2 nights, predominantly Afrikaans. So I went that way. I don't speak Afrikaans, but I spoke real South African braai and joining in my cab and whatever. When I go overseas, I will talk about my wife, my kids, living in South Africa, because people, we all live, we all got dogs, we all go to the Spur, you go to a family restaurant, we go to watch football. So that's the stuff I talk about, so I make it relevant. And of course then I change the language that I need to do. I don't do any South African stuff when I'm overseas. And a lot of companies in South Africa are using me when their international clients are coming through. And they think, we need somebody that can cross the board. Yeah, let's use Barry because I go right across the board.
Sure.
And I'm very lucky that way.
Tell us a little bit about the new show, Evolver, because your last one actually, filled out Carnival City.
Absolutely. And, Evolver is just the next step for me, how things have happened. And it's basically the story of how I started and how the olden days when I started, there was jokes. There was two Irishmen and the one said. That's how, and that's evolved. It changed around. It went to observational humour, which I was doing for all the years. Now I think it's gone to more like a conversational humour, So it's just the way we do things. I went to the doctor the other day to have an X-ray, and when I got to her place, she had my knee, my X-ray on the computer, and I said to her, "What's going on here?" She said, "No, they emailed me your knee through the cloud." And I said, they emailed my knee through the cloud. What happens if somebody hacks my knee so they can take it? So I talk about relevant stuff that's going on.
Great. Thank you so much, Barry Hilton, chatting to us about his show, Evolver. It's going to be here in South Africa as well as around the world from May until July. Great to have you in studio. And all the best of luck with this new one.
Thank you.
All right. It's time now for us to take a break.